Hey, this is Jim Craddock, and I am giving an update on November the 30th, 2024. And I made it through Thanksgiving, and that's big. That's huge. We had a very difficult week, physically and mentally. Uh, and Yeah, it's allowed me to keep going. Uh, I I think at this point, uh, it, it I have passed most of the significant events kind of near the end of this condition. My stomach uh, is still absorbing nutrients, so things haven't completely stopped. But I think what has happened is that it has affected my liver at this point. And that's basically what I'm running on. So something new came to me while I was kind of remembering and when I was reading and everything, just how things work. And I remember it's kind of a hard thing to describe, but in the original article, it spent just a whole lot of time on all different types of organic chemistry and physiological processes and things like that. And one of the things it talked about was how, you're burning ketones for the longest time and how that the even the sugars that have been in your body that show up in your blood, those aren't necessarily from what you're eating. And it sounds weird, but it talked about gluconeogenesis, which is when your liver produces glucose in order to basically provide additional energy supplies. And that's a really big part of what's going on in kind of this condition, and that uh, up until near the end, when the liver gets impacted, which can happen if you're in the right phase, you just have to take a drink of alcohol, and that's why I've kind of stayed away from alcohol a lot during my life. But man, it's really hard. I mean, when you don't have the literature there and you don't have anything like concrete on like here's where I am, here's what to do, what not to do, here's what to do, it makes it very difficult to know. And so yeah, I have a glass of wine or a bourbon or things like that. It's just I'm just tired. I'm tired of trying to do the right thing with no medical support, with no literature, when I know that there are correct things to do at different points. But a great example is I know uh, there's a point in the process when they would always sit up, and I couldn't ever remember like why they're sitting up, but it has to do, now that I'm this far, I know, with the ketones that are building up the body, and they, if you're always sitting up, then they stay the in the lower portions of your body. But as soon as you lay down, those ketones touch the other cells. So now you're thinking, well, why would that be an issue? Well, it's an issue because those cells have been infected in the past with the candidiasis on the inside, which can only spread cell to cell. And so, over time, they all got apoptified and shrunk, and that candidiasis is locked on the inside, and it's just sitting there in this apoptified cell. But when the ketones hit it, okay, it activates because now it has a food source, and that begins the issue of destroying the tissues. And it's a slow process. It doesn't just like go race through everything like a fire. Candidiasis is really smart, okay? And it monitors your physiological values, and it only damages as much as it has to provide energy for you to keep going so that it can continue getting to that 100% ATP usage from every cell in your body. And it's just crazy how it does that. Uh, and so I think kind of that's where I am. And so I don't think that there's a whole lot left here. I've made my primary goal, which was Thanksgiving. Now I have a secondary goal, and it's very important to me. And I don't know how I will do or if I will reach there or but it is basically a week from this next Thursday. And so looking at my calendar, that is the 12th. And so my son's last finals are that day, I think. Or he'll be coming home that day. Maybe his last finals are the 11th. Anyway, so if I can get to there, I don't interfere with his first semester of his freshman year in college. And that's huge for me. I That's the last thing I want to do. And I have talked to him more than once, and one time very pointedly, and I said, "Hey, if this illness thing that I have, which I don't talk to him about very much, if this illness thing that I have, if it, yeah, worsens, I've got other people here, and your focus needs to remain in school." And he knows, and he's told me my focus is school, and so. I hope he is able to maintain that focus if something does happen. But uh, if something does happen, I, I just hope he can keep focused. Going back over this week, huge week. I made my chocolate bourbon pecan pie, which turned out beautifully. I made my cranberry salad, which I forgot to spray the mold for, so it kind of came out kind of a little rough around the edges, but it still tastes good. And I ate mostly protein, but I had some of the things that I enjoy just because I'm not going to go without them. And uh, Everybody had a great time. And thank you, God, for THC because that allows me to get in a good mood and to have a good time and uh, to not be in my own head about everything that's going on and I think I know it reacts differently with me than most people, so I wouldn't count on it doing those things for you. But uh, I managed to get most of my Christmas shopping done, I think, and everything I have except for a couple items for my mom are wrapped. Uh, there's another big item arriving Monday, maybe or Tuesday, and there's kind of one or two more items I'd like to go buy. But overall, very ready for Christmas as far as my presents are ready. And I've done this honestly. This is a third year in a row now where I have all my Christmas presents bought ahead of time and wrapped, and because I just don't know what's going to happen, and so I'd rather people still get gifts from me and know how important they are to me and get things that they want and enjoy. Meanwhile, Bitcoin sitting, I don't know, 95, $96,000, hovering right there, trying to break over that sell wall at 100K. And I fully anticipated doing that. I think that there's just too much momentum right now. Now, Trump is doing a little banging around about the dollar today, saying threatening the BRICS countries if they go to some dollar alternative, which honestly, folks, let's admit it, that includes Bitcoin. So, yet, he's rattled the cage on Bitcoin a little, in the past. So I think we have a grace period here until his inauguration on what people's thoughts about Bitcoin are. And I think that that's too long for Bitcoin to stay under 100. And I think if it goes up over 100, I don't think there's a whole lot of sellers right there. I think that is price discovery range, and that is it's going to go up. And I don't know how far, but it's definitely going to go up. Now it'll hit sell somewhere where these people think, okay, yeah, I made my money and I want out. That's fine. But I don't think that is the way the rest of most of the investors are thinking. I think that there's just too much momentum there. Now eh, I don't know. He's got a lot of pro crypto centers, and I don't think they're going to let him come in and torpedo Bitcoin. So uh, I mean, I think that he wouldn't get anything passed. So, maybe he could do something with a presidential order that would hurt Bitcoin, but I don't know. So to me, kind of the risks are, something going sideways with MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor, headline risk, or something along those lines. Some type of Black Swan world event. I'm looking at today, I guess Aleppo's been overthrown, so Syria is basically been taken out by the rebels, and and Assad is in Moscow, and Putin is not because he's on a trip. So I don't know how all that is going to go. Uh, but I mean, Putin's economy is really in the dumps too, and he's fighting a war that he doesn't have the money for, and with a bunch of people who are basically slaves in his country and don't know it. So I mean, it could turn the other way now. I think if Putin were to fall, I don't see it being replaced, him being replaced by some democracy. I think those people are just too submissive, too beaten down, too poor, too ignorant, to everything to create their own democracy. And I don't think China would want that to happen either. So I just think Russia is likely to remain pretty much like it is, just might be a different person. I don't know. But Putin also signed something about Bitcoin this week, saying that it was something that people could use. So uh, I think there's a huge momentum behind Bitcoin, and I am largely in gold, Bitcoin, MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy is definitely my largest position. And it's what my son and family will be receiving as from my accounts should something go sideways, along with all the other things. But uh, and I'm just happy to have kind of been able to support Sailor from the day that he committed to Bitcoin, bought the next day, and yeah, I got out near the top in 2020, and then I bought when it's at the bottom again, and I've been buying, since. Traded MSTU, made a oh my God, that thing is volatile, but made a boatload there. I mean, for me, a boatload, it's not like it's $1 million or anything, but it was a boatload. And it would definitely buy a boat. How's that? But anyway, so yeah, I think it's been an exciting week, and I got to see all the family, and everybody had a great time, and everything went well. It's been a little stressful at home, but just because I've been tired and putting as much effort as I put into being as normal as I can be, it takes a lot out of me. And so, I cannot be the old me. Uh, and that's just how it is. But I can be the old me while people are around, and that helps. Uh, been enjoying karaoke last week. Probably not going to go tonight. Sounds like. Uh, but my son's in this weekend. Got to hug his neck a lot. Uh, watched two different movies with him. I don't know when's the last time we watched two movies in 1 week together. Uh, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles was one of them, and then the other one was this horrible, well, not horrible, but definitely B movie, Black Canary, or Canary Black. I don't remember. Uh, and you know, just been living life, and uh, oh, here's a funny story though. So, and I will memorialize this now. So we bought pre-done hams from this place called the Hamlet and the Turkey for everybody on Thanksgiving, and there was a lot of ham left over, and I cut it all up and I sent some home with people, and then I had my bag, and I had a bag from my mom with like the ham bone in it thing, and then another. And then there was a little bit left over that was like crappy ham, and I bagged it up too, and then I threw it away. And the next morning I went to get the ham out for some breakfast, and I had thrown away the wrong one and the trash bin had already come. And I kept the crappy one and threw away like $75 worth of really nice ham. And I felt stupid. But yeah, shit happens. Uh, anyway, I think that's about it. I just, I'm so glad to be here. I think the one thing I want to say is I think it could end up being really quick. Like I may not go through much more physically. I think, it talked about how that in the book it said that, if somebody had it in the modern world, which that was 1995, and they push through everything because you have to push through. I mean, there's nobody medically is going to help you. And so you'll have trained yourself to eat through nausea and everything. And man, I can do that. I can eat while I'm gagging. And through the worst of stomach pains and everything. And so, last Saturday night, I was at dinner with family, and I had this huge chest pain, which it talked about in the article. It talked about how there would be a chest pain that would feel like, and you'd have tachycardia, and I had chest pain. I've had tachycardia up until yesterday was the first day I was a tachycardic. And just suddenly I wasn't tachycardic. And the tachycardia would be when I would stand up, my pulse was 105, 110. Now that's not real tachycardic, okay, but when I would sit back down, it'd go down to 60s, 65, 70. And then when I'd stand up, it go back to 100. And it would stay 100, 105, 110. And then, starting yesterday, that didn't happen anymore. So, you could say, oh, well, Thanksgiving was your stressful event or something. No, 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 no. This is unrelated to that. And I've had these other spells too, where I've had tachycardia and then it goes away. And whenever that happens, what that means is that something has changed. Okay, so either, your heart strength has changed or blood flow has been reduced to an area such that your heart doesn't have to work as anymore. But anyway, the article talked about how if you push through everything, you might just think that there was like you had a bad stomach ache, and I definitely would say this last whole week qualifies as a bad stomach ache, and that if you did that, eventually, the liver would be affected, and then, once all of the digestive enzymes from the liver, okay, were expelled from your body, essentially. You can imagine the two routes that might happen. That no more digestion would be taking place, no more movement would be taking place, and then everything would back up, and then basically, I think I've mentioned this before, but pause if you don't want to hear something that's kind of deadly and scary. But that the food would eat through to your aorta from your stomach, and you would just die. I mean, just 1 second in the middle. It literally, the example it gave was that you could be laughing in the middle of a sentence, sitting in your chair, and the next second you were dead. So it could be that it could be something like that happens to me. And that's why I'm trying to leave as much behind and get as much done because it could just be lights out. And there was another scenario I mentioned too where you could be having this chest pain, and it talked about walking around because that makes it feel better. I don't know that the chest pain that I had last week would be made better from walking around or not. I don't know. Uh, but anyway, the chest pain is supposed to be associated with the final dropping of the stomach. It talked about how that's the last place that you're absorbing any type of nutrients, and that when the blood flow, is reduced from there, that will be this painful process to feel like chest pain, and then that they might give you a beta blocker, thinking, okay, he's tachycardic and he's having chest pain, so let's give him a beta blocker, and then that would cause your stomach to drop because it would basically make your heart relax. And what you actually need is pressors and vasoconstrictors to make your heart keep pumping harder, to keep your stomach working so that it absorbs more nutrients. But if you do go that way, then uh, you know what I just walked you through. If you don't go to the hospital, then what I would just walk you through would happen, and that would be that kind of quick thing. And so, honestly, that chest pain I had last week obviously was not this final one because I know my stomach is still absorbing some nutrients. Because the easiest way for me to tell is that if I take a gummy, I still get high. Okay, so that's telling me, okay, I'm still absorbing things. Uh, and and so obviously that point is yet to come. I don't know when it will be. I know that right now I'm not tachycardic. I'm not feeling chest pain. It did specifically say it would be after dinner one evening, and it implied that there were these series of events happening kind of in the same week. I don't think it implied it. It said that there was a series of events that happened the same week. And so if you want to look at that and say maybe the first one was last Saturday, so this is a week later, when's the next one? I don't know, but it's a week later now, so it could happen anytime. Uh, and these are all the things I can remember, and it's just it's so sad that this knowledge is redacted. It's not available out there. That someone has decided that that knowledge didn't need to become digitized, so people wouldn't know about this condition and know about the iatrogenic entryway into this condition. It's called terminal onset diabetes insipidus with candidiasis major, and it's what I have. It's what I gave myself to save myself, and I've given myself 29 years and a month or more, 29 years and 2 months since the time that I did it. Would I do it again? In a heartbeat. At the time, I remember thinking, okay, I'm going to have to go through all that stuff if I do this. And, it described all this stuff I'm talking to you about. And I said, I looked at it and said, I have got no choice. I cannot get out of here where I'm at. And so, I did what I had to do. And, uh, here I am able to talk about it and having lived, 3 more decades. I think pretty much if anybody faced a life and death situation and that you said, hey, I'll give you 3 more decades, but there's going to be some really shitty times in there, and nobody's going to be able to really help you physically. I think most people would sign up for that. I think just about everybody would sign up for that. Well, why not, right? Uh, you have to be an idiot. I mean, there's idiots in the world, so yeah, some people wouldn't sign up for it, but I would, and I did, and I'd do it again, and uh, it was the right thing to do. And the part I think above all that irks me is just the loss of science, the loss of knowledge, the loss. And not just that, I think it's on another level too. It's like, okay, so I know for sure that this me personally, I know definitely 100% this knowledge has been redacted from society. Okay. What other knowledge has been redacted from society? It can't be the only one, right? So now that sucks too, right? And uh, who gets to make those decisions? Literally, I think World Health Organization made this one, but I, I don't, I think we need a blockchain of knowledge, folks. I think somebody needs to create a blockchain that basically you can go put knowledge into, and it gets voted on when it goes in, and that's it. It's like after that, it's in forever, and it's in the blockchain, something like that. I think because otherwise AI and the digital world are too 1984. It's too easy to go in there and change some parameters and some guidelines, and suddenly, the Nazis were the good guys. I, you know, it worries me, and it's very 1984 if you've read that book. So, uh, yeah, I think that that's kind of what upsets me the most. Anyway, I'm doing okay as I can do. It's Saturday. My son is in town. He's out with his girlfriend, and they're going to dinner and a movie. And you know, I've got to see all my family this week, and wrap Christmas packages, put up the Christmas tree, and decorate it, and bake my favorite things. And in fact, I think I might make him some fudge to take back to school with him. So, yeah, I think uh, it's all good, you know? And, I got in, oh, it was so exciting yesterday. I had all this MSTU, which is a levered form of MicroStrategy. And yeah, I had done well with it, but I read some stuff that kind of made me nervous about it because so the banks that were helping them do the swaps that were basically allowing them to get the leverage 2x return kind of said, okay, yeah, we're done. This is as much swaps as we're willing to do on it. And so there's at least a potential for that fund to blow up and like, like not have value anymore, even though MicroStrategy has value. And so I just took almost all of my MSTU and put it into Bitcoin ETF, gold, and MicroStrategy. And man, it's like Thursday. I had all these sell orders sitting there waiting to go off for Friday morning. And then when I woke up Friday morning, I was like, hey, I made it this far. I'm gonna go cancel those. I'm just gonna go hand do them. So I canceled them and I waited, and man, it went up another like 20 points or something. So I sold them all, and then I bought into the other things, and then MSTU dumped off in the last half of the day. And but I'm betting this week it takes off again. I just kind of get that feeling, but we'll see. But the whole thing is preservation of your capital. If something has a potential of literally blowing up, your money should not be in there. And so at least not a substantial portion. And so I think at this point I might have 200 shares. Maybe that's $20,000 or something of MST, and even on one of those, I've written a covered call on it, so it's not as substantial as it might be. So, yeah, that was really fun. I got that day was really great. I got to get up, make those trades. Then I went to Costco and I did some shopping for Christmas and bought some poinsettias and handed those out to my in-law and my mom and my wife and just overall good. Yeah. So that's it for now. We'll see if there's another update, folks. These days, I don't know. I do feel like it could go very quickly on, one evening. And I that might be the best way for things to happen. Uh, if I get there and I've made it normal enough that most everybody else just assumes, hey, Jim's doing fine, uh, then I win. I mean, the way I look at it, like, I've succeeded in enduring a terminal condition up to the end with people just not seeing it, and I think that's success. So that's it for me. I will see if we have a December update. Okay.